I need to talk to potential black jurors. I need to talk to potential black jurors. Y'all know I do corporate training. I do Karen training. I do Dunkin' Donuts training. I do Walmart training. I teach you practical things to do when you're surrounded by white supremacists. Now, let me do a quick training for those of you prospective and would-be black jurors. You do make your decisions based on facts that are presented. But this black fact of life that black folk cannot escape, and I want the word to get out in Florida because it's still kind of a hot summer and stuff. It's still a bit of a hot, it's a bit warm out still for the summertime. It's officially summer. Somebody say summer solstice. Where my divine feminine sisters at? We understand the moon and the sun phases and stuff. Talk black to me. So me being someone that's very familiar with civil proceedings and also with the criminal proceeding and specifically how they pimp jurors. All it takes, somebody just put the number 1 in the chat. Just put 1. Just put the number 1 time in the chat. How many of you all know it only takes one juror to do the right thing? We telling the juror to follow the law. Somebody say, tell the trier of fact that might be a juror in his case. Tell that trier of fact juror, do the right thing. Tell that trier of fact to stand their ground in the court of law as a juror. Why do we say that? Because we know some of you jurors, if it's only one of you, you can make the whole thing become a hung jury legally, lawfully. Some of you end up agreeing with the majority when you still have suspicions or when you know that some of the evidence and testimony that you received was suspect. Some of you are so intimidated by white supremacist jurors and colleagues that even though on the inside something is telling you not to do this to please the other 11 white people, you acquiesce, you buckle, and you go along with the majority. So I want to let you jurors know there's no such thing as a grown-up black person that suffers from peer pressure on a jury. It only takes one. While you're on the jury, don't do the wrong thing because you're intimidated by a white person. I'm talking to Florida now. We're telling you black Floridians to follow the law. This is real activism. Get the word out on the street to any prospective jurors not to succumb to white supremacist intimidation in the jury. Now, sometimes during some of the jury deliberations, some of your fellow jurors want to kind of know what you're thinking. I want to give you a word of wisdom. God, today. You must know how not to show your hand too soon. You have to know how to play it off. You have to know sometimes that for the first few hours and the first few days of the trial, once the case is put in your hands to make the decision, you got to know for the first little bit, you got to fake the funk a little bit. Don't lie. But you can be there. They can hand you a whole bunch of paper. Let's just say this notebook is the paper. All the papers, right? And they say, well, what you think? You can look at the papers and do this. Whew, it's not looking good. Talk black to me. For the first few days before it's time to make the official decision, you can just look at all the documents. You can play it off and say for Otha Wallace, say, ooh, it's not looking good for the brother, Otha Wallace. Not looking good for Ozone. Do your lips like that. When you're dealing with these white jurors, your white fellow jurors, You say, hey, bud, I like those cowboy boots there, buddy. And those Wranglers, I ain't seen no Wranglers in a long time. And that white juror that looked like he from Texas that's really living in Florida, he gonna be back there drinking his little tea, trying to see what you thinking. And even though the jurors are not supposed to discuss the case, even with their family, you know that cowboy Floridian juror is gonna go home to tell his wife. And they looking for something to snitch on you with the judge and their neighbors. So you got to play it off. Don't show your hand until it's official. You got to compliment his Wranglers. You got to compliment his Wranglers. You got to tell him his cowboy boots are on point. You got to tell him you've been looking for some. And then when he tries to pin you down to say where you at with this Otha Wallace stuff, you got to say, man, I got to make my decision soon, but it's not looking too good for Othel. You got to play it off. You got to play it off because you don't know what white jurors are sitting there that was planted intentionally by the prosecution or held by the judge themselves or by any other white supremacist person that might be trying to threaten your life later on. I got to educate you about how this kind of stuff works. This to keep you clean. Don't show your hand for the first few hours and for the first few days. Compliment the Wranglers. Compliment the cowboy boots. Tell them you was looking for a pair. And when that runs out, when your compliments stop working and they want you to tell them where you stand, you don't even have to say, no, I'm going to go with Othel. You just simply say, it's not looking good. I still got to pray on this, but this is looking good for Othel. This is not looking good for Othel. I respect the law. Turn it. You got to say, I got a respect for the police. I got law enforcement in my family. It don't matter if it's your third uncle on your mama's side. It's still family. It doesn't matter if it's your black neighbor that got an uncle that's a sheriff. Black people, we call all of each other family. We family. You don't need to get specific, slowness. Play it off. But I'm going to need the activist jurors. I'm going to need the activists in Florida. Get to work now. Start to set the narrative now. Tell the jurors to follow the law. Vicky's telling all the jurors got to follow the law. Vicky's telling you to follow the law, jurors. Prospective black jurors. But I'm telling you, don't you dare succumb to the peer pressure of white jurors. Play it off. If there's a Karen back there, and y'all know how women are. The energy of women is different from a man. You could probably throw off Billy Bob by complimenting his Wranglers and boots. With Karen, you got to ask her, does she have kids and do they play soccer? You got to ask Karen, does she have children? Do they play soccer? If they're in basketball and football, you know darn well that if there's anybody black on their team dominates them, pretend like her kids, Chad, congratulate, ask her if they won any championships. Stop. Ask her, does she find it difficult to balance the life of a stay-at-home mom if she's a stay-at-home mom? She gonna feel connected. Try to pick up on where she's at. And then you gotta say to her, if she try to get information from you, you got to say to Karen, when she asks, don't run your mouth just to be running it. If she try to find out what you're thinking and all the compliments and the soccer talk don't work, the stay-at-home mom talk don't work, you got to turn around and say, Karen, this is really, I'm going to be honest with you, Karen. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think I would ever say this, to be honest with you, Karen. Between me and you. In fact, do they have a Starbucks? Let's go get some coffee. Just me and you when we take the next break. And then I'm going to tell you during coffee when we go for coffee. for the break. The next break, I'll tell you for the break at the coffee at the Starbucks. When you go to Starbucks, get her favorite coffee and then get some croissants. Get you some croissants. And then you say, I never thought I would say this. Seriously, say, look, Karen, I know we can't go into detail about this. We're going to follow the rules. I'm a juror. I follow all the rules of the court. And without me violating any of the rules that the judge gave us, we are bound by it. So I'm not going to go there. But I'm finding this to be very hard because I just never thought that I just never thought, oh God, where's my latte? Give me a second. I just never thought that. I'll say this because we're not supposed to discuss the case. I've got law enforcement in my family, and I do not condone any semblance of disrespect for law enforcement. And that's all I'm gonna say right now. Can you hand me a napkin there for so I can eat this croissant? That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say anything else. Black family, you can't be stupid. And then when it gets to the moment where all the way, and it's official, and y'all gotta that's when you go do the dundada. Bam! Based on the evidence, following the rules and the laws. Follow the rules and the laws. But somebody say no peer pressure, no white peer pressure. Last minute, don't. Before it's official, shut up, play it off, compliment Wranglers, compliment cowboy boots, soccer talk. Can I confide in you? Croissants and Starbucks. That's all you know is Starbucks and Wranglers. All the way up to the moment. Crazy. It's too late. And then you remind yourself while you sitting there scared, acting like you're scared of white people. You remind yourself that there's millions of other black folks outside that little box, that little jury box deliberations. And just know we're going to have your back and celebrate you by doing the right thing. Understanding, following the law, following the rules, looking at all the evidence. But what we know for sure, what the video did show us clearly, the video didn't show us all the details with our brother Ozone. But what the video did show was that lily white officer had no business being in the first place. What we know about the police officer, there was no probable or justifiable cause for him to have been on the scene. I'm going to say this and I'm almost done. Thumbs up, share.